All right. Brian, thank you for taking the time to join this interview. And, thank you for offering to, share your experience with using LoadProof. So let's start from the beginning, right? So, where were you guys before you found out about this, tool called LoadProof? And what was the, problem you were trying to solve, and what were some of the frustrations?
So before we found out about LoadProof, my company is a 3PL company for Berner Food and Beverage. We were seeing, particularly from our transport division, we were seeing like a lot of loads that were going out that would be secure from our end, would be good in all aspects and safe for transit. And then when they would arrive at destinations, they'd be tipped, they would be, it'd be all over, it would just be a mess. So before LoadProof, we were just we would take some pictures with like our phones, but we didn't really have anything to correlate and really kind of capture like what we were recording. So we actually heard about LoadProof from another company that works for the same customer. They also use LoadProof. So we heard about how well it was working for them. I looked into it. I decided, hey, let's give it a shot, and it's worked out great. I mean, we've been able to capture our data from our end. It's been simple to use. We've been able to, record, the trailer numbers, what side it was coming off of from our docks. And perhaps the biggest thing for us is it's all just conveniently stored into like one area. We don't have multiple people trying to, share pictures and trying to correlate, getting it all together. It's worked out great, so much so that we continue to roll it out across our different facilities as well now too.
Great. That's fantastic. So, how did you first hear about us? I mean, it was like, hey, I have this problem, man. I mean, I don't know how to solve this. And, how did you guys solve, from your side? Is that like a conversation that started somewhere,
Yeah, so I was talking with the general manager for the other company. I'm general manager for our company for this area, and I was just kind of saying, hey, we're seeing all this transportation stuff. Here's what's going on. I brought in our transportation department, saying like, hey, what can we do? The GM for the other company was like, yeah, we utilize LoadProof. That way we can just capture everything. It's right there. If our customers want to see it, it's right there. If the transportation department wants to see it, he's like, you could look into that. And I was like, okay, let me do a little bit of background. I hadn't heard of LoadProof prior to that. Went onto your guys' website, started looking through it, and I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I'll give it a shot. We'll see if this works for my company. Signed up. Took us a little bit to go through the setup. But then once we got it rolled out, yeah, it's been a great tool for my company.
Okay, great.
But yep, that's how we kind of heard about LoadProof.
Great. So what is the problem you guys have? I mean, as a food distributor, what are some of your products? Is it like a dry produce, frozen items,
A lot of it is, a lot of what we do is jarred cheese, canned coffee beverages, and then aerosol cheese. So when we would have stuff that, for instance, my main warehouse is out at the production facility for Berner Food and Beverage. So when we get the finished product, we send it over to their company so they can actually store it. So when we were loading stuff into the trailers, like the jarred cheese, again, like some of our aerosol cheeses, we would double stack in, we could load bar, everything like that. Jarred cheeses, we would just single stack in. But when we would send it off, again, everything would look good from our end. We would airbag, we would put load bars up. But then when it was arriving to them, they would reject the load back to us, because by the time it got back to them, you'd have some pallets in the front that were getting tipped, and it was a situation where it was like, okay, we need something, because we know this is now more becoming a transportation problem, but we need something that can kind of capture our data and say, hey, you know what? Instead of you rejecting it back to us, we actually need to look at the root cause, and I actually need to go to the transportation department, but I need something to actually prove this. So again, I mean, we would take some pictures with the supervisors on the floor's phones, we would do that. but we didn't really have anything that was all correlating into just one area where, again, if they were to come to me and say, okay, on August 15th, trailer 53728 went out, this got rejected back, do you guys have any pictures of it? With LoadProof, it's so simple because I can go back and be like, okay, August 15th, yep, here's the trailer number that we got set up. Yep, here's the pictures versus, okay, what supervisor was working that shift? What trailer did they get me? Did they actually capture the trailer number in their pictures? It makes things a lot simpler for us.
Got it. So is all this cheese, getting shipped in a cold container or something like that? Some kind of a.
It depends on the time of year. So a lot of the cheese and stuff right now is being shipped on dry vans. Once we get closer to the colder climates, because it's in jars, we'll have to start shipping more on reefer trailers just because of the fact of depending on how quickly they offload it on the other end, it can't sit for a very long portion of time, or particularly since we do hot fill. So when you go hot to that cold, a lot of the jars will end up just breaking. So right now, we do a lot of just dry shipments, but as we start getting to the colder climates, we'll start utilizing some more reefers in terms of transportation.
Got it. So, what made you guys pull the trigger? Hey, we gotta do this. I mean, it's not about the cost, or it's not expensive. It's a very, very less expensive tool. What made you guys pull the trigger on it? Hey, we gotta have this.
It was just the amount of damages that were coming back to us that were getting rejected back. So again, we knew some of this was being caused by the majority of this was being caused by the transportation department. But again, we didn't really have any correlation that, hey, we need something. And, even if it wasn't a transportation issue, we needed something that said, okay, we're seeing, I think 1 week we had 7 trailers rejected back to us. So it's like, okay, we're getting a lot of trailers rejected back. We need something, to find A, what the root cause is, and B, just something that we can immediately go back to and not have to dig through, data and everything like that. So what kind of brought it all on was just the fact that we needed, it was just the amount of we were seeing getting rejected to us. And then just having something saying, okay, from our end, we did everything properly. So we need to figure out where the actual root cause is actually coming from.
Great. Fantastic. So what are some of the benefits? You guys turned on LoadProof. How was the experience like?
Well, the experience so far has been really good. Again, we're rolling it out more and more across now different shifts and different facilities. When we initially brought it online, we had to get it kind of like set up and how we wanted to have it set up. So for instance, which side was it coming off of, the trailer, things like that. We introduced it gradually. And as we started seeing some more pictures come across, it's like, okay, this has been great. As we started activating LoadProof, it coincidentally or not is when we started seeing less and less rejected trailers coming off of those shifts. So it's like, okay, and when there has been an issue, we can just point back and, say, okay, here's the pictures that you need. As you can see, when we sent the load, it was in good shape. So, we had a kind of a gradual rollout with it, but it's been a positive experience that we're continuing to roll out across more shifts. And honestly, I'm looking at the possibility of upgrading our plan so I can get more licenses. So
fantastic. You don't hear, a lot of systems that we roll out in supply chain, not the, all the experience is not, as great as like this, right? One thing that we often run into is change management. How was the, people that started using this LoadProof, how did they adapt to this?
They've adapted fairly well to it. We've got the licenses assigned right now to our supervisors, but we have like our team leaders taking pictures as well. Again, it's so easy to use that, there's not really a lot to it where everyone's kind of adapted and handled it fairly well. So, it's been a fairly easy process for us to just adapt to and start integrating into our shifts and what we do on a day in, day out basis.
Fantastic. So what results, you guys have accomplished, and what areas of your business has this improved, from your perspective?
So the biggest area that's been an improvement for us is just the amount of rejected loads we've seen just decrease. So again, for a while there, we were having, at least 4 to 6 loads, across a week's time kind of get rejected back to us because something would happen, or it would be a situation where we didn't load it properly. So for us, it's kind of improved how we've been able to send our product out to, not only the other 3PL, but to the supplier or the customers that it actually reaches. Because, when you don't have stuff, it's making our people, more conscious of what they're doing and making sure that the product's getting transported safely. And it's, in the end result, making sure that the customers get the product in good condition and integrity as well. So, I think that's been the biggest thing for us is we've just seen that reduction versus what we had before. Like, granted, we do 90 to 100 trailers a week that we ship out, but, even 4 to 6 is too much. And we've seen that. I don't think we've had a rejected load now for a couple weeks. And we went from like that 4 to 6 down to like maybe 1 a week. Wow. So, our average has really dropped, which was great to see.
Okay, fantastic. How likely, you are to recommend us to somebody else, right? Hey, we use LoadProof, and, would you recommend us to somebody else that have similar problem?
Yes, definitely. It's a situation where, again, for us, it's just been so convenient having everything in that one area. It's so easy to use. It's definitely a situation where, if someone were to come to me and say, I'm having this issue, I would definitely recommend it to somebody else because, again, it's been a fantastic tool for what we do that, I would definitely recommend it.
Got it. So why should someone, listening, to this video, watching this video, take action right now? Why should they, use this tool right now?
Again, it's just because of the fact of how easy it is to use and how much it actually potentially can save you, just in costs for, what specific application you use it for. So again, when you have rejected trailers coming back, that means if we've had like damaged product, we've had, not only that, we have to coordinate like the transportation costs and bringing things back. It's just been so helpful because of the fact, again, it's easy to use. It was easy for anyone to understand and utilize it. And in the long run, it's just so great to actually utilize this tool where it actually, it can save you so much down the line and improve the efficiency of your operation that, that alone right there has made it more than worth it.
Got it. Fantastic. What was your ROI, from, using this tool, working with us, typically we have seen, 2 types of savings. One is obviously less claims, less rejections, less, stuff coming back. That directly translate to the product cost, inventory cost. That's one thing. And then second, in terms of labor, because, you're not spending more time discussing this in your meetings. Right. And you're,
Yeah, and that's been the biggest thing. Again, from a cost savings for us, again, we don't have to deal with the transportation cost of it coming back. We don't have to deal with a full out damage cost because we've had, loads that have shifted and gotten damaged and broken all over, but yeah, even from a labor standpoint as well too, when we have gotten loads back that, that were like that, it was a situation where we'd actually have to designate man hours. So depending on the load and what was in it, we've, one of our rejected loads that stands out had 53 pallets that were double stacked in it that ended up spilled all over. Wow. We had to designate 2 people for about a total of 12 labor hours each, so 24 man hours just to get that trailer cleaned up. So again, it works in the fact where for our guys, it forces them, in that specific instance, it was a situation where we didn't secure it properly. So again, from cost savings, it's just been tremendous because of the fact that we don't have that much cost anymore to, get these items fixed. It forces our guys to do the proper thing and make sure that our loads are secure all the way around because they have to take that picture and, basically state that they're doing what our processes and procedures, reflect that they should be doing. But then B, like I said, too, it also makes it so if there is a situation where if it occurs due to transportation, we can actually then go back to transportation and say, okay, we have these damages, but you can see we have everything done properly from our end. We're actually gonna, hand this one over to you guys to, figure out the cost and how you want to get back to the customer in regards to this, because this is more of a transportation issue. So yeah, from a cost perspective, not only from a labor hour wise, but from the actual cost of bringing it back and the damages, yeah, we've seen definitely a major reduction in both.
Is it possible to put a like a high level dollar value savings per month or something like that?
If I had to put a savings per month on it, it would probably be in probably $10,000 plus per month.
Wow, that's a big number. Yeah.
Yeah, just based off of the damages that we don't have to write off, or things like that. Plus of our labor hours, I would say it's been $10,000 plus per month. So a 12-month span, we're probably talking over $100,000 that we would save on average just by utilizing this.
Wow, that's fantastic. And what about the labor that's spent on fixing stuff, or talking about that, making sure it does not happen? Hey, who did this? Who loaded this? All
Yep.
those things. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, it's a situation where it also forces our people to do the right thing, where then we don't have to do in our startup meetings, we don't have to cover like, okay, guys, here's a trailer that just came back to us from the other 3PL. If you can see it wasn't loaded properly, or, this happened. Yeah, I mean, from a time perspective as well, too, it helps that when we have less of those, obviously it's more people that A, we don't have to designate to clean up trailers, but B, also keeps our people more on the floor doing the tasks that they need to be doing.
Fantastic. I mean, this is great, man. I mean, that's fantastic. We're glad, we are able to save that many dollars from you guys. Not only that, right? I mean, it's unnecessary hassle that you go through. You might lose customers, and it just life is so much peaceful now, right?
Yeah, like I said, it's really been tremendous in the couple months we've been utilizing it. So again, we're in the process of rolling it out to more of our shifts and our facilities. So yeah, definitely recommend.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll stop recording this one.
No problem.